Welcome to P32's workshop. My name is Jim Gary, and today's video shows how I installed a new front anti-sway bar in my 25-year-old Workhorse-based Class A motorhome. In particular, it's a year 2000 Georgie Boy Pursuit. This is an ongoing restoration project that I've been documenting on this channel. The description below includes links to an overview of the project and links to specific tasks, mostly involving the front and rear suspension. The sway bar is made by Supersteer, the same brand as the new coil springs I installed in an earlier video. So let's get on with the video. The new sway bar and the original sway bar next to each other. The new sway bar is quite a bit thicker than the other. The sway bar where it connects to the lower A-arm. So there's just a couple of bolts holding it onto the A-arm. So I've already loosened them up, so I can just reach behind and take off the nuts. So it's just a nut. There's no washer under there in this case. The bolts are kind of cap heads on them, so they've got kind of a built-on washer. There. Now I've got a bungee cord, so that won't come falling off too fast anyway. But let's get these top ones off first. Going to leave this screwed in just a little bit. I don't want the sway bar crashing down on my head. That would make for a very bad day. And this bungee cord, I don't know, this thing's probably pretty, well, it's not that heavy. Oh, it's not heavy. Now I've got to get a look at this other bolt and find out why it's being difficult. Ah, there's a second nut. That explains it. That's better. So now the weight of the sway arm is on the bungee. It's really not that heavy. So this is my new sway bar. It's going in the front. This part goes to the front. This part here goes to the back. The ends attach to the lower control arm, and the front ones connect to the chassis. So here's the original one, just to remind you, although I've already shown this in an earlier part of the video. The old sway bar is 1.25 inches in diameter, and the new sway bar is 1.5 inches. So that's 3/8 of an inch difference, and that makes it much heavier. Now the ends attach pretty much the same, so here's the fittings for this side. And the black ones here, black bushings, they just go straight on. Or you can slide them wherever you need because they just go in this end piece. But the other one that goes forward here, that's got a split in it. So it would go on like this. And then the bracket that holds came with new bolts and washers and stuff. So it's got a kind of a half washer here. And that's so it can fit properly in there. And then on the other side, there's just a regular washer. I did have a problem with the washers that were provided with the anti-sway bar. Some appeared to be grade 8 washers, but there were some that were trimmed along one side for a better fit and didn't appear to be grade 8. And these tended to get deformed and allow the bolt head to sink into them as I was torquing down the nuts. I didn't show it in the video, but I replaced most of them with grade 8 washers, which I trimmed myself with my bench grinder. And then this nut is it's not a nylock, but it is a thread locking nut. So it'll go on there and tighten up and hold itself in there. And then that'll go on, obviously, like that, except this whole thing would be flipped around because it goes up. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take this out and get it set up and try to get it bolted in. Okay, so I've got the sway bar just set into place on a couple of jacks stands. You can see it back there. And what I'm going to do is connect the right front. It's going to go the bolts into these two holes here. There, these two. And then I'll go to the other side and get those two, and then I'll worry about the middle ones. I don't think this is going to be very hard. So let me just get the camera set right. I've got my new GoPro. I haven't used it much because it's so hard to use. But I took it on a trip and used it for 2 weeks, so I've got a better idea of how to use it. It's still awkward to me. Pick this up and get it set about where it goes and get a couple of loose nuts in it. So it's got to come out from here, then up to here. And I want to lift this jack up a little bit. Now I think I can wiggle it around and get it at least loosely set the way I want. So here's a bracket. And as I showed you before, they've cut a flat side to the washer for the top part here. So I got that in. And I'll crawl underneath and get the nut on and get it tightened up, minding my head, of course, in case the bar comes falling down. Yeah, it threads through. It's just a tight fit. Okay, so I'll go ahead and get that bolted down. I can feel a little safer. And remember, these nuts are Loctite nuts. They're not nylock, they're just different kinds. So that's started. And I'm just going to put everything in real loose until I got everything connected. Then I'll start tightening it up because there's going to be some adjustments I'm sure I'm going to need to do. There we go. Just didn't have it quite aligned right. Just remember when you're doing suspension work to use hardware designed for it. Okay, so I got that started. So at least that end isn't going to fall down. And this is going to go up there. But I'm going to move the camera and the light, and I'm going to go on the other side and get the other end started first before I mess with these. So here I'm on the right side, the left side of the chassis, and there's the sway bar kind of set about where it goes in, and you can see it's on the jack stands, and it goes, and the bar goes all the way across where we just were. So I'm going to set this up and get this loosely put in. So I've got the U bracket. By the way, it said to apply a heavy grease, and they provided some. So I'll be doing that. I did put some light, or some just slideway lube on there, but I'm going to go get the heavy grease and get that put on, so I'll have it. There we go. Slid off the end. I can slide it back. It's a little harder than it looks. Getting the half washer on top. Full washer on the bottom.
You know, it's funny, you do these things, you think, oh, the sway bar is heavy, it's going to be really hard to put in. It still may be hard to fit, but it wasn't hard to set up in there. So that was kind of nice. So the problem I'm having is I just don't quite have the clearance to get this bolt into the hole. It's at an angle. And I can see there's room. But I think I'm going to try screwing it in at the same time. See if that does the trick. Yep, that did it. So now I've got them both started. It'll all straighten out when I get everything set. So now I'm going to put the other one in. So it's going to go here. There. So here's the plate. So this is going to have to bolt up to here. And I've noticed there were two lengths of bolts in this kit. One's a little bit longer. I used the shorter ones there because I thought these would be easier to get at. And I've got some extra washers just in case. So the first thing is to, now that I know where it's going right here, so I need to put some heavy grease there. So I know this has to go about here, and this has to go on here. And then I need to be in a position where I can pick it up, and I can raise the jack stand. I have to hold it the whole time. And I don't need the half washers. It's up a little bit higher. There we go. The screwdriver will probably work. Yeah, that gives me access to the bolt. Fingers are greasy. Okay, there's that side. Now, it did say that the original, I was reading the instructions, and the original, they said the early P30s have a curved sway bar that drops it down a little bit in the middle, and it said they recommend you put some tape around a radiator hose if a radiator hose is in the way, but I don't see that here. Maybe these hoses. I think those are, but I'll see if they actually get in the way or not. Washer of a nut. Okay, I've got the whole sway bar loosely in place. That wasn't too bad. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten it up, mostly on the ends a little bit. I'm going to swap back and forth between the right side here and the left side until I get everything to fit nice. The manual just says 30 to 35 pounds. If you have a torque wrench, which I do, but I don't think I'm going to need it for this. It's going to get them nice and tight. It's just going to take a little bit of work to get everything seated down properly. That's all. It's flattening out very nicely. And then I'll do the middles. Okay, that should do it. I'll probably come back later off camera and double check the torque, but I'm pretty sure we're probably past the 30 to 35 it said to use. Anyway, that's it for now.
I mentioned it might not be necessary to torque the bolts, since the instructions said they just needed to be torqued to 35 pounds if you had a torque wrench, which is how they stated it. But just to be thorough, I did use a torque wrench off camera, and I found that torquing was essential because the U-brackets deform a bit as the nuts are tightened down. I found that once the torque hit 25 foot-pounds, it took quite a few more turns before the torque rose up toward the 35 foot-pounds, and I could actually watch the bracket metal bending to conform to the anti-sway bar and its connection points on the A-arm in the chassis. Well, I hope this video was useful to you. Again, related videos on my motorhome restoration are linked in the description below, so thanks for watching.